and welcome back to my channel. If you're a first timer, then welcome. Before I kind of get started into this episode, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's really supported me with the first video, and it actually made me like really excited to do more of these videos. So thank you guys so much for all your support, and like I'm really excited now to do all my other videos because you guys are such a great support the first round. So today I'm going to talk about Crohn's and my Crohn's story actually. So first off, what is Crohn's? Well, for those of you who don't know, Crohn's is an autoimmune disease. And an autoimmune disease is pretty much my immune system is attacking my digestive system and creating ulcers throughout my digestive tract. As you can imagine, can be pretty painful. Now that we know what Crohn's disease is, I'm going to tell you about my journey on how I found out I had Crohn's disease. It took me about 2 years to actually get diagnosed, and boy was it a crazy 2 years. My symptoms began in 2015. I was living in an apartment with my best friend Laura at the time, living on my own. As if you know, living on your own is super stressful. And all of a sudden I just started throwing up, like randomly, like throwing up anything I ate. There was no rhyme or reason. I was just throwing up after I ate. So I decided to go to the doctor, and we thought, well, maybe it's like anxiety because I've had a crazy couple years. Went to the doctor, got some anxiety medication, and it helped for a while. But then things started kind of going wrong. Towards the middle to end of 2015, I actually moved back home and I started a job. Things were going good, but I was kind of having some stomach issues still, and I was just getting sick all the time. So finally my primary care doctor had me go to a gastroenterologist, as I like to call her my stomach doctor because it's just easier to say. I went to the stomach doctor and she decided to do an MRI, and we did a couple tests, and in my MRI came back that I needed to have my gallbladder removed. So we were like, okay, great, this is gonna fix it, this is the fix. So I go and I have my gallbladder removed. And when you have your gallbladder removed, you have to eat a very low fat diet, like pretty much like low to no fat at all. I was eating a lot of baked potatoes, and mostly baked potatoes. They were like my best friend. My symptoms weren't really showing up anymore. So I thought, wow, it fixed it. Like I'm doing great, like I'm feeling better, like I'm like taking out my gallbladder. That was the fix. But January came around, and unfortunately my symptoms came back, and they were 10 times worse than when I was sick before. I had some rectal bleeding, which was awful and terrifying, and I ended up going to urgent care for it because I like didn't understand what was going on, and I ended up doing a CT scan. When they did the CT scan, they put a solution in my arm, and when you went into the scanner and they put the solution in, it literally felt like you peed your pants, and it was one of the weirdest feelings I've ever felt in my life. Did a CT scan and they didn't find anything there. So we were kind of back to square one of like, well, what's going on with me? And by this point, it's January of 2017. I didn't have an appointment with my stomach doctor till May. But my stomach doctor is amazing and got me into all these different appointments and different tests so that we could kind of keep things moving. We scheduled a endoscopy and a colonoscopy. So an endoscopy, if you don't know, is when they take a camera and they go in through your mouth and go down into your stomach. You are also like put to sleep during this process. And then I had to do a colonoscopy, and if you don't know what a colonoscopy is, it's when they take the camera and they go up your butt, right on up there. So that's fun. I had scheduled that in April. So January to April was not a very fun time for Michelle. I got to a point where like I couldn't even keep solid foods down. Then I couldn't even keep like smoothies down. And I had this horrible cramping in my intestines, and like I couldn't get out of bed. And through this whole entire sick period, I had like lost about 20 pounds just because like I wasn't getting enough nourishment in my body. Like anything I put in my body, it would just come right back out. So finally, it was time to have my endoscopy and colonoscopy. That kind of just gave us all the answers we needed. Now, little side story here. When we were trying to figure out what was going on with me and what was wrong with me, essentially, I was Googling all the time. Not the best idea. Because when you go on Google, like, everything that you put up as like a symptom, like, you're essentially dying. That's a really horrible feeling when you are so sick and you like read things like, oh, you have cancer, or oh, you have this black tongue disease and your fingers are gonna fall off, you know what I mean? Was spending a lot of time on Google, which was actually scaring me. But during our searches on Google, me and my mom and my grandma, my mom and I actually came up on Crohn's disease. And I was reading it, and it really sounded familiar to what my symptoms were. So my mom and I had kind of already looked at it, and we were kind of like, I think this is what I have. But this was like a few months before I actually had my colonoscopy and endoscopy. So we have my colonoscopy and endoscopy. When she went in through my endoscopy, she didn't find anything. But when we went up through the bum, I had probably about, I think she said about like 20 ulcers in my intestines. Yeah. They wanted to do another MRI just to double check some things, but my doctor was like pretty sure that I had Crohn's disease. After the MRI results came back, my doctor called me, and we pretty much, that was it. And we started discussing different types of treatment. I decided to go with the medication called Remicade. It's kind of like the tried and true for Crohn's disease. At this point, I didn't really want to try anything newer. If there was something that was older and that worked, that's what I wanted to go for, because your girl was tired of feeling so sick all the time. Remicade is an immune suppressant, and unfortunately, because Crohn's is not curable, the Remicade actually keeps my symptoms at bay. I get an infusion of Remicade every 8 weeks, which is an IV that goes through my arm, and I sit there for about 2 hours and let the medicine kind of do its work. So in January of 2018, I had another colonoscopy. It was kind of like the 6-month point of me taking Remicade, and my doctor wanted me to have kind of like a checkup to see like if the Remicade was working, if it wasn't working, and like what should our next steps be. Awesome news came from that. I had actually gone into remission. My ulcers had healed up. The Remicade was doing its job, and it was working, and it was healing my body. It was really exciting. It was really awesome news to know that after only 6 months, my medicine was actually working, and it was really, really good news. Unfortunately, it doesn't mean that I don't have days where I don't feel good. Every day is different. Some days I feel great. Some days I feel eh. Some days I feel like the worst. It really depends on mostly things I eat. I know of right now that I can't really have spicy foods. Red meat doesn't do well with me. I'm not supposed to eat a lot of high fiber foods. So food is a challenge, like, all the time. It's an ongoing battle with food. Food is just my biggest struggle because I never ever know what something is gonna do to me. And yeah, that's my Crohn's story. That's how I found out about my Crohn's disease and my whole journey. My 2 very long years journey. So thank you for watching or listening to my Crohn's story. I actually am going to be doing a Crohn's and colitis walk in October. If you'd like to join my team and walk with me, that would be amazing. If you even just could donate money, that would be amazing as well. All the money is going to go to the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, where all the money is going to be used for research and helping to hopefully maybe find a cure someday. With that, if you like this video, go ahead and hit the thumbs up. If you want to share your stories with me about your illnesses and your journey, go ahead and leave it in the comments, or even message me on any social media sites, because I honestly would love to hear your journey and your stories with your illnesses and anything and everything. Also in the comments, leave other things that you would like to see me do in my videos. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and again, thank you guys so much for the support that you guys have already given me. It's been amazing, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!